Oh, paging Danny.
I know. Just was waiting for him to say. All right. Shabbat Shalom, everyone. I'm Danny. I'm Vice President of Membership and Programming here. I'm going to do the announcements for this evening. I just wanted to let everyone know we are always looking for new members, so if you have anyone here with you tonight, please bring them to me or come see someone else that represents the temple for more information on membership. After services tonight, Rabbi Axelrod will lead a discussion about current events in Israel in the back of the social hall. On Saturday, August 5th, there will be a splish splash Havdalah at Cantor Hutchings' house from 5 to 7 p.m. This is for grades preschool through second grade. There'll be swimming and dinner for this event. RSVP to Haley or on the temple website. Now, these are going really fast, so I want you to, after temple tonight, sign up for this if you can, if you haven't already. Congregation Near to Mead and CNT's film Havra are hosting a sneak screening of the movie Golda, featuring Academy Award winner Helen Mirren on Wednesday, the 23rd of August at 7 p.m. We have a private theater at the South Point Hotel, and tickets are very limited. We've already sold a bunch, so please get them now while they're still available. You can sign up on the temple website for these.
Actually, it's more than a bunch.
Oh.
We're now to the next size larger theater.
Ooh.
All right, so if you have not bought your tickets, you're going to be in trouble.
Tonight is the night to sign up. CNT Sisterhood will be preparing oven-ready challah for Shabbat on Thursday, August 24th at 6 p.m. Sign up for this Flower Power event on our website. Now, this is a couple months away, but I want you to keep this in mind. On November 5th, we have our annual Hanukkah and Holiday Bazaar. We are in need of vendors for this event. If you'd like to display or sell your crafts, jewelry, and other gifts, please email the Sisterhood. Now, as you all know, a certain someone has a book on sale in the gift shop and on Amazon.
Is it a comic book?
It's a comic book, yes.
Okay.
No. It's Rabbi Axelrod's new book, Love in the Time of Corona. All proceeds will go to the temple, Congregation Near to Mead, and you can get them on Amazon or in the gift shop. Thank you, and have a good night.
Month of August is prospective member Shabbat almost every single Friday night. So as you heard, Danny's one of the co-chairs of membership. You see any smiling new faces or old faces who are looking to join the temple, point them towards Danny, towards me, but most of all, make sure that you say hello. So let's begin with that. Everyone, turn to someone next to you, behind you, that you may or may not know. Introduce yourselves. Wish them good Shabbos. You know what? I think they came to talk. I did a good job here. I hate to interrupt them with the service.
I know.
All right, good Shabbos again, everyone.
Shabbat shalom.
All right, now that we all know each other, we have one more shameless plug. Corinne, I tried out once again. I didn't quite make the choir, but is there still room in this choir for someone who can actually sing?
Always. And you don't have to actually sing.
Oh, you
also.
don't?
No.
Oh, then I'm really bad. Go ahead.
So I really, I want to, and we have also Isaac, and I see more people that are joining us. So you do it as well. Tell everybody, please come and join us for the High Holiday Choir. This year we also have the younger generation, and it's getting to be really beautiful. You don't have to sing well. If you need help, I am happy to help with the Hebrew, with singing. You don't have to sing well. Nobody is judging anybody in this choir. And if they are, tell me, and I will take care of it.
You'll take care. When do they rehearse?
We rehearse Wednesday evening at 6:45. I do, and also Isaac, we do warm-ups. And, you just come and enjoy, even if you can't read music, even if you don't know. I don't know if you know, when a lot of people sing together, oxytocin is released in your brain, and that's an amazing feeling. It's a really, really good thing.
All right, so let me get this right. Yes. This magnificent choir, you don't have to read music, you don't have to sing. Wait a minute, how do you get this magnificent sound? It's a miracle, all
Exactly.
right? The bottom line
We don't say
is...
the secret sauce.
we don't say, that's right. The bottom line is it's a great choir, and we encourage you to be a part. All right, Eddie. Wait a minute. So you obviously know this is not Cantor. Cantor's on vacation. This is Corinne, and we are delighted to have her as our guest soloist tonight. So again, a welcome and good Shabbos to everyone. Okay, Eddie, let's take it away.
Please sing with me.
133, Shir Chadash.
I will sing unto God a new song. Sing unto God and we'll all sing along. All the earth a new song unto God. Shir Adonai kol haaretz. Shir Adonai shir chadash. I will sing unto God a new song.
We open up our Siddur, our prayer book, to page 120, 121, as I call upon Bobby Kane for the mitzvah of kindling the Shabbat lights. Bobby? It's your turn. Come on up. Yeah. O source of light and truth, creator of the eternal law of goodness, help us to find knowledge by which to live. Lead us to take the words we shall speak into our hearts and our lives. Bless all who enter this sanctuary in need, all who bring the offerings of their hearts. May our worship lead us to acts of kindness, peace, and love.
שקידשנו במצוותיו וציוונו להדליק נר של שבת.
We continue in 125 as we read together. Where has this week vanished? Is it lost forever? Will I ever recover anything from it? The joy of life, the unexpected victory, the realized hope, the task accomplished. Will I ever be able to banish the memory of pain, the sting of defeat, the heaviness of boredom? On that day, let me keep for a while what must drift away. On this day, let me be free of the burdens that must return. On this day, Shabbat, abide. Help me to withdraw for a while from the flight of time, contain the retreat of the hours and days from the grasp of frantic life. Let me learn to pause, if only for this day. Let me find peace on this day. Let me enter into a quiet world this day. On this day, Shabbat. We welcome the Shabbat with the singing of Shalom Aleichem. The congregation, please turn to page 142.
Please sing with me.
Everyone all together.
Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malachei HaMelachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Boachim leShalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon, Melech, Malachei HaMelachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Bachuri leShalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon, Melech, Malachei HaMelachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. צאתכם לשלום, מלאכי השלום, מלאכי עליון, ממלך מלאכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא.
We rise for the Baruch Hu 146.
Yada
149 as we turn the page. Praise to you, Adonai, our God, from whom the evening flows. Your wisdom sets the way on which time and seasons glide. Your breath guides the sail of the stars, creator of the tide of time and light. You guide the current of day into night. As heaven spans to infinity, you set its course for eternity. Praise to you, Adonai, our God, from whom the evening flows. Baruch atah Adonai, ha'ma'ariv aravim. As you taught Torah to those whose names I bear, teach me Torah too. For its mystery beckons, yet I struggle with its truth. You meant Torah for me, did you mean the struggle for me too? Don't let me struggle alone. Help me to understand, to be wise, to listen, to know. Lead me into the mystery. Baruch atah Adonai ohev amo Yisrael.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Le'olam Va'ed.
Hear, O Israel, Adonai is our God, Adonai is one. Blessed is God's glorious majesty forever and ever. Amen. Please be seated. I look out and I see some religious school students. Come on up. Come on up. Religious school students.
Let's go.
Zane, come on. Everybody. All right.
Lenny?
Don't take a long time. Come on, you guys. Go ahead. Stand on this side. Right there. Perfect. Okay, you guys, we don't have a lot of time. Let's just do it. Let's do it. Come on. Go, hop, tap, go. $157. Standing on the parted shores of history, we still believe what we were taught before ever we stood at Sinai's foot, that wherever we go, it is eternally Egypt, that there is a better place, a promised land, that the winding way to that promise passes through the wilderness, that there is no way to get from here to there except by joining hands, marching together. Vishamru 162. Perhaps even more than the Jews have kept the Sabbath has kept the Jews. The spirit of Shabbat enters our heart, brings us together as a community, gives us a sense of purpose and community, whether we live here or in Israel or any part of the world. So let's sing Vishamru with Karun with a sense of Shabbos joy together. All right, I want to hear the clapping.
ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם לברית עולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם לברית עולם. בני ובן בני ישראל, בני ישראל, אותי לעולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם לברית עולם. כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני, עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם לברית עולם. וביום השביעי שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם לברית עולם.
We rise for the Tefillah 164, 165.
אדוני שפתי תפתח, אדוני שפתי
Together, Ata Kadosh v'Shimcha Kadosh, Ukdoshim b'chol yom yehalucha sala, Baruch Ata Adonai Ha'el HaKadosh. We continue at our own individual pace, reading the prayers on the left side of the page or prayers from the inside of your heart through page 181. At that time, be seated. So we turn now to our Misha Berach prayer, a prayer of hope and healing and love. For those of you watching online, you know that I'm technologically challenged, so please put the names in the chat for this and later on for Kaddish, even though we can't see it on the Bima tonight. Know that your prayers are joined with ours. And for those of you here in our community, in a moment after I read the list that have been submitted to the office, we want you to stand and say the names of your loved ones as well. So we think of Keita Howard, Regina Baker, Emily Bowe, Sherry Jones, Alyssa Polis, Kim Botwin, Donna Zale, Sandy Block, Dr. Steve Ports, Terry Rabin, and Lori Fletcher. So look out in the congregation. Are there names here that you'd like to say for a prayer of healing, for healing? As I look your way, simply say the names, folks. That's all I want you to do. Thank you. So we pray for hope and healing for those who are struggling with matters of the heart, the body, of the mind, addiction too. We pray for those who are caregivers that they might be emboldened with a sense of resiliency and appreciation for their commitment to give love to those who are in need. Those who feel comfortable, we now stand and join arm in arm and join in our Misha Berach prayer. Good Shabbos again, everyone. So as you plan out these worship experiences, you're not necessarily sure what's going to be happening. So I don't ever try to tackle current events. But I do know that this particular week, a lot of things came to a head in Israel. And of course, on Wednesday night, it was Tisha B'Av, which is that day in Jewish history where we mourn the destruction of the first two temples, and a lot of anger and analogies were put forward. But rather than delve into the politics from the Bima, I thought after services would be a good time. So for those of you who are more politically inclined and really want to know what's going on in Israel, we'll go into the Oneg Shabbat, and then there'll be a clear signal after a few minutes of noshing and talking to go into the other half of the social hall. And then we will have what I think will be an informative discussion. If you're confused, hopefully you will leave less confused than you were. If you have questions, we hope that we can answer your questions. I brought in some reinforcements with Lee Steinberg, who is active in the Israeli-American community that is really trying to bring awareness to American Jews about what's going on. So I encourage you to stay and participate in that discussion. Having said that, what am I going to do? I'm going to tell you a story. This new book by a colleague is pretty special. Candle, Feather, Wooden Spoon. And it's divided into 3 sections. And these are, for the most part, original stories that she has written. And some of them are, how do I say this? They take a story that is very much a part of Jewish history and culture, and then she adds on to it. Or maybe she writes a prequel. Or maybe she writes a totally original story that enriches our sense of modern-day Judaism. I thought I needed a little levity, a little pick-me-up, so I picked the story that is called The Lost Story from Chelm. Shmui and the Shabbat Encounter. And for those of you who don't know, Chelm is that very special village in Eastern Europe where somehow all the lost souls ended up in that village, and they do the most ridiculous things. And the other part of the humor, of course, is they're not aware that they're doing humorous things. One of the more famous stories is when they decided to capture the moon, because, of course, every month Jews say a special prayer for the new moon, and if they captured it, they could charge people money. And, that's a very famous story, and I mention that because it'll be alluded to in this modern retelling. This is the story of Shmui of Chelm. He was among the sages and the wise people of Chelm, which was a town known for being, unconventional. Shmui was there when the people of Chelm tried to catch the full moon in a barrel of water. In fact, it was Shmui who later discovered that they had caught only the moon's reflection. He was also there when the synagogue attendant got too old to go house to house, knocking on the shutters each day to wake everyone for morning prayers. So the people decided to take all the shutters down from the windows and bring them to the attendant, so he could easily knock on them from his own house. It was Shmui and his wife Malka who woke up every morning early, had a quick coffee, and went around calling morning prayers to make sure they always had a minyan. Shmui was also there when the people of Chelm put the synagogue tzedakah box on the top of a pole to protect it from thieves, but then built a staircase so that the poor could still reach it. You got to think about that one, do you? It was Shmui who made sure the money got distributed to the right people. Everyone knows that the people of Chelm were special. They may not have been the most logical or the most intelligent, but they were earnest, kind-hearted, and creative. And there were certain things they never forgot: the importance of community, hospitality, and the beauty of Shabbat. In fact, some say that when Albert Einstein said, "I'd rather be an optimist and a fool than a pessimist and right," that he was thinking of the people of Chelm. But what people don't know is that it was really Shmui who kept things safe and running for those beloved fools. Shmui loved them dearly, and tending to the needs of the community brought him a sense of great purpose and joy. However, Shmui noticed over time that he was beginning to forget things and to mix things up. When the people of Helm dug the foundation for a new school, they pondered where to put the dirt from the hole they had dug. It was suggested that they dig a second hole to put in the dirt from the first. But then someone asked, where would we put the dirt from the second hole? And it was Shmui who said, quite wisely, let's just make the second hole twice as big as the first. More and more of the things Shmui tried to do did not work out. He was beginning to forget names, faces, and even the Torah he had learned. It was as if everyone in Helm was genetically predisposed to foolishness, and even Shmui was not immune. Then came the terrible day when Shmui no longer remembered his own address, 27 Schildberg Lane, where he lived with his wife, Malka. He was bewildered when he opened a door he thought was his own and saw a woman he did not recognize inside. The woman stared at him in surprise. Shmui apologized for the mistake and walked away. When he reached a fork in the road, he paused. A sign pointed one way to Prague and another way to Lvov, and Shmui asked himself, do I live in Prague or do I live in Lvov? He had not just forgotten where his home was, he had forgotten all about Helm. He forgot his parents, who had named him Shmuel, the voice of the chazan, the taste of matzo ball soup, his wife's smile, and the sound of the shofar. He even forgot about Shabbat. The only thing he remembered was how to walk, so that's what he did. Shmui did not leave Helm with much, and what he did have wore out pretty quickly. He had a tattered shirt with 2 missing buttons. He had a jacket that did very little to keep out the cold. Though it did have 2 good pockets for the coins and morsels people would sometimes give him. He had a pair of pants with hems that were frayed and knees that were almost worn away. He had a pair of woolen knickers, a pair of woolen socks, and shoes as thin as newspaper. Shmui also had a floppy hat, which he crumpled up as a pillow. That was all he had as he walked from town to town. But Shmui also had a dream that someday he would find his way home. Shmui knew he had a home somewhere, a home where he was known and loved, a home in which someone he loved him very much, a home where he was comfortable and happy. He always felt like it was nearby, just around the corner, just past the field, or maybe in the town over yonder. Until that dream came true, Shmui spent his days wandering, asking the good people he met for a spare coin or a slice of bread. One day Shmui happened upon a little town in which all the people were bustling about. Shmui did not know it at the time, but it was Friday afternoon, and they were running around trying to prepare for the arrival of Shabbat. Shmui stopped a woman who was hurrying home with a cart filled with a great assortment of sumptuous groceries: chicken, fish, meatballs, cabbage, carrots, onions, flour, eggs, noodles, and apple cake. "Excuse me, ma'am, might you spare a morsel for me to eat?" The woman hurriedly gave Shmui a delicious meatball and a slice of apple cake wrapped in paper. She said, "Here, enjoy. I gotta run. Shabbat is coming, and I need to prepare a feast." Then Shmui stopped a man who was hurrying home with a bouquet of flowers and 2 loaves of braided bread. "Excuse me, sir, might you spare a coin?" The man fished into his pockets and gave Shmui a coin. I'm sorry, but I must rush. Shabbat is coming, and I must put on my best clothes." Thought Shmui. This Shabbat must be a very important person. Everyone is rushing about to prepare feast for Shabbat. I wonder who Shabbat is. Perhaps Shabbat is a noble or a wealthy merchant. If I could just meet this Shabbat person whom everybody knows, perhaps Shabbat can point me in the direction of my home. All day, whenever Shmui asked someone to spare a little of this A little of that. They would spare what they could and then rush off to prepare for Shabbat. Finally, Shmuel asked the boy for a coin or a morsel to eat. The boy said, I don't have any coins or morsels to give you. But I'll tell you what, you come with me. I will take you to my family's home, and you can sit at our table, eat a festive meal with us, and celebrate the arrival of Shabbat. Perfect, thought Shmuel. Just the opportunity I was hoping for. When Shabbat comes over, I'll go sit right up close, and I will say, excuse me, Shabbat. Everyone seems to know you in this town, which means you must know everyone in this town. And I am also in this town. Perhaps you can tell me who I am and where I belong. As they were walking to the little boy's house, the boy said, I can't wait for Shabbat to come. Me neither, said Shmuel, with a sparkle in his eye. The boy led Shmuel to a modest little house. Inside there was a beautiful table covered with a tablecloth that glistened like snow. The table was set with sparkling china, crystal, and silver. The boy's family welcomed Shmuel kindly. The mother said, Shabbat won't be here for about an hour. Here are some newly scrubbed clothes, and there is a wash basin in the back room filled with hot, soapy water. You can get nice and clean to welcome Shabbat. And if you want to take a nap before Shabbat comes, there's a little bed and some blankets in that room over there. Perfect, thought Shmuel. Thank you. Now I will be able to charm Shabbat into helping me with these nice clothes and a fresh face. So Shmuel washed up. The hot, soapy water felt wonderful as he squeezed it all over his face and his hair. He slipped on the clean clothes, and they fit just right. Now, don't I look like a real somebody, he thought to himself. Shmuel stretched out on the little bed. He could hear the mother setting an extra place for him at the table. I hope it is next to Shabbat. I hope I get to sit next to Shabbat. He stared up at the ceiling and wondered about what Shabbat would look like and how Shabbat would act. Would Shabbat be friendly or mean? But how could Shabbat possibly be mean if so many people were celebrating the arrival of Shabbat? With these thoughts in mind, Shmuel drifted off to sleep, and then he had the most remarkable dream. In his dream, Shmuel was lying on his back on a green emerald slope. The sky had the gleam of twilight. Stars began to peek out of the darkening blue one by one. Finally, the whole night sky was filled with twinkling stars. Like bushels of diamonds tossed into the sea, Shmuel stared up at the Milky Way, and he felt very peaceful. All of a sudden, though, Shmuel saw the Milky Way moved. How can that be? Shmuel bolted upright, rubbed his eyes, looked again. There it is. The Milky Way was moving. In fact, it was moving toward him. The Milky Way seemed to ripple in the sky as if it were a long sheath of deep blue silk covered in diamonds. It was like a beautiful gown. In fact, Shmuel realized it was a gown. Soon it was approaching the very hill upon which Shmuel stood. A moment later, it was walking in the very same meadow, and Shmuel could see that wearing the gown was a woman. She was a bride, and she wore a shimmering veil of starlight. Shmuel's eyes were wide with wonder. Who are you? The bride leaned toward him. I am Shabbat. And her voice soothed all the aches and pains in Shmuel's body from years of wandering and years of loneliness. I know, Shabbat said, that you want to ask me something. Of course, Shmuel had planned to ask Shabbat to point him in the direction of home, but at that moment, all he could say was, I just want you to stay with me forever. And Shabbat said, I will stay with you until tomorrow night, and then I must return to the heavens. But I will leave a spark for you to have with you always. and I shall come to you every week at this time if you open your heart to me." Shabbat then held out her hands, and there, cupped in her palms, was a twinkling little spark, a speck of sparkling star. She placed it into Shmui's open hands, and he watched it dissolve into his skin. He could feel a new vitality zing through his spirit, setting his face aglow. Suddenly, a faraway memory flickered in Shmui, like a candle flame in a gusty room. There was a moon in a barrel and a reflection. And Shmui was surrounded by all the people he knew and loved. But before it became clear, the memory disappeared. The way a reflection of the moon in a barrel disappears when the water is disturbed. That spark is your neshama yatirah, Shabbat said, your extra soul. "Oh, thank you," Shmui said, his eyes welling with tears. He held his hands to his heart and thought, reflections are illusions, but this neshama yatirah, that is real. And Shabbat withdrew and moved across the landscape, draping it in night and glints of light. Tears of joy ran down Shmui's face, and his eyes were filled with her beauty. Just then there was a loud knock, and Shmui awoke from his magical dream. It was the little boy. It's time to join us at the table. Shabbat is coming." The smell of challah woke memories that had been dormant inside Shmui since he was small. Looking past the little boy, Shmui could see candles glistening on the table. Shabbat candles, yes, he remembered. Shabbat is already here. He could feel Shabbat's presence warming his heart and stirring his memories. He remembered the friendly face of Mayor Model and the time the mayor was on his hands and knees, searching all over the floor. What was he searching for? I remember. The people had lost heart, and Mayor Model was trying to find it. I have lost myself, Shmui thought, but Shabbat has found me. At the table, the family began singing Shalom Aleichem, and Shmui found that he knew all the words. There were still things in his mind that were fuzzy around the edges. He was still piecing together who he was and where exactly he was from. But he knew with certainty where he belonged. He belonged in Shabbat, and Shabbat was always going to be there, right around the corner. That aching desire for home Shmui felt for so long drifted away like a star fading in the sunrise. Barchuni l'shalom, malachei hashalom, malachei elyon. Shmui sang, "Bless me with peace, messengers of peace, messengers of the Most High." And when the prayer was complete, Shmui said to the boy and his family, Thank you all. You have fulfilled a great mitzvah, a blessing on your home, a blessing on your lives. As a great teacher once taught me, more than Israel has kept the Shabbat has kept Israel. May Shabbat keep watch over you, over me, over all who have lost their way. To which the family responded, Amen. Well, the next morning, Shmui woke up before anyone else in the family. He washed up and put on his old tattered clothes. He folded the sheets, blankets, and clothing that they had given him. He kissed the mezuzah as he stepped out of the house into the morning light. He walked to the end of the walkway and leaned against the mailbox, closing his eyes to feel the warmth against his eyelids. And when he opened his eyes, he noticed the words on the mailbox, 26 Schildberg Lane. He thought about those words, strangely familiar. Soft, downy memories drifted past him like feathers from a torn pillow. They tickled his mind, and then he heard a woman's voice from the house at 27 Schildberg Lane. Shmui? Shmui? The woman said. Shmui turned toward her. She was wearing a faded checkered nightdress, a matching flannel sleeping cap with a pom-pom at the end and fluffy old slippers, and she was holding a steaming mug of coffee. She was as beautiful to Shmui as the Sabbath bride herself. She stared at Shmui for a moment longer and then screamed with joy, "Shmui! Shmui! Shmui!" And the woman threw the mug down on the grass and ran toward Shmui with her arms wide open, laughing, weeping, praising God. And Shmui opened his arms and ran toward her. And in their zeal, they ran a little too fast and knocked each other over into the ground. But they quickly scrambled back up. As they clung to each other, Shmui whispered into her ear, "Malka, my love, I am home." Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. So, I told Cantor and Rabbi that I feel very blessed to do this service and the Shabbat following Tisha B'Av, which was Wednesday night and yesterday, one of the most devastating days in the year for the Jewish people. We not only mourn the two temples that were destroyed, but all the catastrophes that took the lives of Jews across history. I every year feel that energy. It's a really strong energy, and this Shabbat is called Nachamu, which is to comfort. We find comfort after remembering all the suffering that we went through. And I feel like we need a lot of comfort. I'm preparing a little bit before Lee is going to speak to you about what's going on in Israel. Me just returning from Israel and being Israeli, I'm devastated to see what is happening for many reasons, in which we'll get to it later. But I wanted to sing something really short and talk about it. What I wanted to talk about, there's a few lines from Tehillim, from Psalms, who say, "Mi haish chafetz chaim, ohev yamim lir'ot tov." Who is the man? It starts with a question, kind of like the 4 questions in Pesach. It starts with a question: who is the man who likes to live a good and long life? And then it answers that question with the man who wants to have a good life will keep his tongue from speaking evil and from his lips from lying. They're going to stay away from evil. They will do good. They will seek peace and will chase it. And the whole idea is that there's things you say and you can do to make a difference in this world. And not only keeping your tongue from speaking evil, it says that the temple was destroyed for blind hate. And keeping our tongue from speaking evil is one of the greatest things that we are commanded as Jews and we can do. And not only it says that you're supposed to stay away from evil, don't speak evil, the last line, and this is where I think it's so relevant, it says not only live peacefully and do good, it is your obligation to make peace amongst other people and to seek to bring people together. And I think if there is any message that we can find comfort in now, is in that, because that's something we can do. Sometimes things are so big and they're deserving to talk about, and we will talk about that later. I think that's something I feel like we can do. So I'll sing it to you really soft one time and then we can continue. If you know it in Hebrew, please join me. Mi haish chafetz chaim, ohev yamim lir'ot tov. Mi haish chafetz chaim, ohev yamim lir'ot בצור לשונך מירה, ושפתיך מדבר בימה, סור מרע עשה טוב, בקש שלום ורודפהו. מי האיש חפץ חיים, אוהב ימים, לראות טוב. I hope we can all find the goodness in us.
Thank you, Corinne. Thank you. We join now in our concluding prayers 586 as we rise for the adoration.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי ארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות אדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל עמונם. ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא.
Please be seated. Again, those of you who are watching via live stream, go ahead and place the names of your loved ones in the chat. Even though I cannot see them, that is a way of involving them in our community remembrance. And so I think of those who we observe Kaddish for: Elaine Harris, Adair Joy Klein, Dick Hyman, and Doris Munich. And we think of the Yortzites of Sophia Berger, Charles K. Bowker, Abraham Kavadlo, Harvey Allen Chernikoff, Jeffrey Cohen, Arnold Familian, Russell Fletcher, Martin Fusaner, Max Friedman, Arlene Gerstler, Ben Handler, Bert Irving Harris, Bill Jarrett, Corinne Johnson, Doris Kolodner, Jean Lafer, Yetta Miller, Ben Naft, Nathan Rosenthal, Joyce Sacker, Catherine Selinsky, Isidore Tobman, Vivian Van Duzen, Al Wexler, and Marvin Zindler. If you'd like to recall the name of someone who was not mentioned for Kaddish or Yortzeit, please stand, and as I look your way, simply say the name. As we think of all these and others, we turn to our Kaddish prayer 598. Together, Yitgadal v'Yitgadash Shemei Rabbah B'Alma Divrach Hirutei V'Yamlich Malchutei B'Chayechon U'Yomechon U'Chayed Echol Beit Yisrael B'Agalav V'Zman Kariv V'Yimru Amen Yeheshmei Rabbah Mevorach Le'olam Olmei Maya Yitbarach V'Yishtabach V'Yitpa'ar V'Yitramam V'Yitnaseh V'Yitadar V'Yitaleh V'Yitalal Shemei Dekusha B'Richu Leila min kol birchata v'shirata, tush v'chata v'nechemata, damiram b'alma v'yamru amen. Yehi shlom rabba min shomai v'chayim, aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'yamru amen. Osei shalom b'mramav, hu ya'asei shalom, aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'yamru amen. May the one who creates harmony on high bring peace to us, to all Israel, to which we say, May be seated. I'd like to invite up the students in religious school to join Corinne in the blessings over the challah and the wine. All right, religious school students, come on up. Go ahead and make your way over there. Special thank you to Corinne and to Eddie. Thank you so much. We have made sure the congregation did not have to suffer through my solo voice. And Dell, of course, our shamus, and Alex, and on sound, Leslie is joining us from our staff, and Lee Posey, our custodian.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei beri hagafen. Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen.
All right, a little bird told me Andrea Harris has made some of her spectacular desserts for the Oneg Shabbat. So go in there, enjoy. Thank you, Andrea. But don't forget, about 6-7 minutes into it, you'll get a signal, and those of you who want to engage in the discussion, bring your desserts, come on over to the other side of the social hall. We conclude with our final hymn, Oseh Shalom.
Everybody's.
Good Shabbos again, everyone.
Shabbat shalom.
Thank you for returning your prayer books. We look forward to seeing you in the social hall.